Today I want to share with you a story about a very special person who passed away last Shabbos in Israel. He was the most famous actor, movie actor in Israel. His name was Yehuda Barkan. In his life, he played and he directed 30 movies. Everybody in Israel knows this name. Beside me, everybody knew his name. I learned his name last week when he passed away, but only me. Everybody else knew him. And he's very famous. Everybody knows lines from his movies. He's very beloved, very much. Yehuda Barkan was born in 1945 to parents who were immigrants from Romania. His parents spoke Yiddish. They didn't speak, they spoke very little Hebrew. They owned a coffee shop. And when the little Yehuda went to Yehuda, as they called them, went to school, used to come back home. He wasn't the best student. But at home, he was treated like the genius. How would this happen? Every time he used to come with his report card to his father in the coffee shop, his father didn't read Hebrew. He used to call some genius and tell him, Yoske, wo steht da? What's written here? He used to tell him that the mark for, let's say, for reading, must speak. He said, what's must speak? Must speak is satisfactory. What he translated in Yiddish, enough, must speak means enough. That his father used to say, enough is enough. If it's enough for them, it's enough for me. What I need more than that? Then in schooling, he was must speak. And in home, he was, such a good student. That's how he went through the whole elementary school life. When he grew up, he became a very good actor. And he made one movie after the other. In one movie in 1975, he sold 607,000 tickets in a country that was 3 million people. It was an unbelievable success. Every time when he used to come out a new movie, Friday, they used to show the new movies. He used to call, that was the style at that time, he used to call the theaters and ask, no, you sold it? I mean, is it full? He used to tell them every time, sold out, everybody, the place is full. He called from one theater to the other in Tel Aviv, in other places. And over the years, he made a lot of money. Then until then, every time when he made a movie, he looked for other partners, investors, and together they invested in the movie, and then they shared the profits. One day he decided, what do you need other people to share the profits? He has enough money. He borrowed a little bit. He invested all his money in the next movie, and he will make the profit. Came to the first day of the movie. It used to be shown on Friday. He calls the one theater. They tell him 18 people. He says, 18? He said, yeah, they told him there's 500 seats. 18 people bought tickets. The other one, 12 people, 20 people. He told the story a month ago before he passed away in an interview in the Israeli news. He said, until today, he cannot understand what happened. He says, man, I can understand people come to see the movie. They saw it once. They told a friend, don't come, it's boring. But before anybody saw the movie, nobody came. So the only explanation he has, because he was a little greedy, he wanted to make all the profit, not to share the profit with anyone. He will make it. He doesn't need partners. And because he put all the money in the movie, he started to lose more money and more money. One day he gets a call from the bank. The manager tells him, I need to see you. He comes there, and the manager told him, I feel terrible, but I have to tell you. I got from the headquarters a message, and they tell me, then I need to close your account. It's called a limited account. He asked him, what's a limited account? He says, a limited account means that you cannot take out money from the account. He didn't even answer. He got up and he walked out on the street and he was thinking to himself, I will not be able to buy my children a bamba. We don't have any money, nothing. He was so depressed. He was thinking about committing suicide. Then he remembered that he promised to give a lecture in a school the same day. He's running to the school. He has to give a lecture. It's a commitment. He comes to the school. The teacher told him, oh, thank you for coming. Today we want you to speak to a special class of challenged children. Children who have physical problems, intellectual problems, all these kind of issues. And they were called in Israel at that time, limited children. He walks into the class, he gives a look on the children, and he's thinking to himself, this is a message from God. I was busy, I look at here, look, this is limited children, and I complain about my limited account, bank account, and it changed his whole perspective on life. Later in his life, in the 90s, in the late 90s, he started a journey towards Judaism. He became more and more observant. He started to put on film, then he started to keep Shabbat, he started to learn Torah, and so on and on. When they asked him, what made you suddenly in the prime of your life to turn back to Judaism? He used to say, the rabbi who made me religious was Saddam Hussein. That's the rabbi that made him religious. It was the first Gulf War. All of you here remember it very well. There were missiles falling on Israel. Saddam Hussein threatened and lived up to his threat, and he sent 39 missiles, Scud missiles on Israel. And he threatened that he will send chemical weapon, that in Israel everybody was scared of a chemical attack, that they gave out to every citizen in Israel a mask, a gas mask. And the rules were, the directions were, if there is, you hear the alarm, you stop everything, you run to a closed room, and you put on your mask, and you sit there in a corner, and you're basically waiting for the missile to fall. He was in the middle of filming a movie with a whole crew, with actors and everything. And they used to travel, and in the middle was the alarm, the siren came up, and they had to drop everything, run to a house, to a room, and they all put on the mask very quick. Everybody had his mask with them, and they were sitting quiet, waiting for the missile to fall, and nobody knows where it's going to fall. And he saw something very interesting. So I looked at these people. He says, in my industry, he says, everybody prides himself to be an atheist. We don't believe in God. We are atheists. We are this. Religion is a joke. And he said, when he looked in their eyes, and they were sitting in the corners with the masks on their face, everyone was praying. In their own way, they were all praying to God. He said he saw the statement of the famous saying, there is no atheist in the foxhole. Push came to shove, so everybody believes in God. And that gave him a little shock. He started to think about life. 39 missiles are falling in Israel, in Tel Aviv, and not one person was killed. You throw 39 stones in Tel Aviv, somebody will get hurt. Buildings collapsed and people came out from it. And then he says, in the middle of the war, he gets a phone call from his sister. She tells him, my boss, who is a Chabadnik, told me that the Rebbe said the war will be over on Purim. He laughed. He says, how did the Rebbe who sits in New York knows when the war will be over? We have nothing controlling the war. It's a war between the whole world in Iraq. On Purim, the war was over. He walks out to the street in Tel Aviv. He meets two Lubavitcher Hasidim. He tells them, how is it? How you know? What's going on here? They point him to heaven, and he told them, there is a boss in heaven. He knows what's going on. And he says, how can I speak to the boss? How can I make my connection? Told them, very simple. Just put on film, you connect to the boss. You can connect just like anybody else. He took their advice. What he said when he was interviewed, that really His first wake-up call was 3 years before. In 1987, he was in New York. It was the Israeli Film Festival. And they showed one of his movies that he was there too. He walks out after the movie or after one of his lectures, and 3 Chabad guys are waiting for him and told him, you know, Yehuda, you are here in America, in New York, come see the Rebbe, meet the Rebbe. He says, will I be able to speak to the Rebbe? Told him, we cannot promise you that you'll be able to speak, but you know, on every Sunday, the Rebbe gives out dollars for charities to meet people and give out a dollar for charity, because the Rebbe believed that in every good thing, when 2 people meet each other, something good has to come out for a 3rd person. That he gave another person, you become my messenger to give the dollar for charity. And you will be able to stand there, we'll find you a spot, and you'll be able to see how the Rebbe receives people as long as you want to stand there. He came there and he stood close to 2 hours. He was fascinated to see how everybody comes with their problems, with their issues, and the Rebbe speaks to everyone patiently and gives people blessing and smiles to them and gives them advice. Everything short, but one after the other about it. And he said he saw an evolution, people standing straight, and as they get closer to the Rebbe, they shrink, they get humbler and humbler, and they literally bending down, we should just give them the blessing. And while he was standing, he said, the Rebbe from time to time gave a look at them, like, who is this guy? He said, every time the Rebbe gave his sharp look at him, the Rebbe had piercing blue eyes. He said it was like an electric shock. He said that was the first beginning, that was his first step towards the journey of Judaism. Barakan, Yehuda Barakan, then his name was in top of being one of the best actor in Israel, was a very happy person. Everybody wanted to be around him. He had always a nice word to say to everyone, always upbeat, always in a good mood, and very charitable. One genre of his movies was also playing pranks on people. You know, leading people to believe things were ridiculous, and then uncovering it and show them that they make him pull their leg, make him look like fools. In one of his movies, he tells a story. His brother-in-law one day walked into his office and told him, Yehuda, I deserve a mazel tov. He said, mazel tov, why? Your sister, my wife, had a baby boy. Oh, mazel tov. When is the bris? He says, the bris is next week. Yehuda right away had an idea. He tells his brother-in-law, you have to cooperate with me. He says, yeah, you have already a moil? He said, yeah, your father, the grandfather, went to the moil and he talked to him about the time. The moil from the family, Mr. Mendelovich is the moil from the whole community. They go to Mr. Mendelovich and they tell him, what time my father told you to come to the bris? He said, 2 o'clock. He says, you come to the bris, but come 3:30. Right? Then he asked him, can you give me the robe, the moil robe that you're wearing? He says, sure. I need also a purse, the purse that you bring everything that you have. I would like to hold it, lend it to me. Took the purse, said, I need an empty purse. I don't need anything. All your knives you can keep by you. On the day of the bris, one of his best actors shows up by the door of the hall where the bris was there, and he meets by the door Yehuda's father, the grandfather. Stood there. He comes with the robe, the moil robe, with the purse in his hand, and he turns to Yehuda's father, tells him, "You're the Sandek?" Tell them yes. And Yehuda's father asks him, and who are you? He says, I am the moil. Yehuda's father turned white. He says, Mendelovich is the moil. He's supposed to come here. He tells him, Mendelovich is sick, and I'm his assistant. He says, really? That's fine. He says, he was like very polite. He tells him, tell me, you did the bris already a lot of times? He tells him, actually, no. This is the first time I'm doing it. He tells the son, and then his mother was standing next to him, all like they don't know what to do. 300 people are in the room. Everybody's silent. He tells them, okay, Sandak, Zaidi, sit down. He gives them something where he's going to hold the baby on. He puts his purse on the table. He opens the purse. and he takes out an electric saw. And then he takes out a cucumber and he starts to practice. And the whole crowd is sitting silent. Nobody said a word. And Yehuda looks on his sister and he sees that that in a second she's going to faint. That he jumps out and he screams, "Oh, it was just a joke." And his sister got so upset with him, she turned around, she wanted to slap him, and he ran away. What he saw in this event, he saw 300 people, the herd, people, the masses, you cannot rely. People say, why should I be the one who says something? He said 300 people were sitting in the room. Nobody got up and said, "Are you crazy? You have an electric saw, what's going on here?" Nobody said anything. See, in the Parsha of this week, Lech Lecha, we read about Abraham. And in the end of the Parsha, we read about the mitzvah of Brit Milah, of circumcision. God tells Abraham, "I want you to circumcise yourself. You should circumcise your son Ishmael. And from now on, every Jewish boy, every child who is born to you, by 8 days he will be circumcised." Then the Talmud brings a story, the Medrash, that one Greek philosopher was asking a Talmudic rabbi, if God wanted people to be circumcised, why didn't create them this way? Why created them with a foreskin, then they have to circumcise? Why this pain? Create them circumcised. But he told them, everything in the world needs to be fixed. Nothing is created ready. You don't get ready bread from the tree. It's wheat, and then you have to grind it, to harvest it and grind it and bake it. It's a whole process. Everything in life, in the world, you have to prepare, you have to fix it. It says this needs also a tikkun olam, needs to be fixed. But why is God really created the world in a way that's not complete? And we need to complete it. We need to make it a better place. Why not to create a complete world, a ready world? And we will just enjoy it. But the Rebbe said something very interesting. God wanted that every human being should be a partner in the creation of the world, a shutaf, a partner. Why God wanted us to be partners? Why not bystanders? Why it's not good enough employees? Why we need to be partners? The Rebbe said something profound. If you're a partner, you can give an opinion how to run the business. If you're a partner, we turn to God and say, "God, why this way? Why not this way?" If you're just an employee or a bystander, tell you, "Hey, boy, you're not here to give opinions. You're here to work. Do what we tell you. You're an employee at best, or a bystander. You don't do anything. Who are you to tell me how to run the business? You're a partner. Now we have to listen to you. You have an opinion. Your opinion counts. If we want to give God opinions, God, I pray to God, I want it this way, I want it this way. If you're a partner, he will listen to you. Now, if you own only 5% of the stocks from the company, usually they'll listen politely to you because you're a partner, but then they'll tell you, we own the majority of the stocks, and we will decide how to run the company. The more stocks you own, the bigger of the portion of the company you own, you're a bigger partner, the more they will listen to you. The more your opinion counts. That's why tzaddikim, righteous people, when they give a blessing to somebody who should have children, to another person should recover from his sickness, to a third person he should be successful in business, a fourth person should find a shidduch. God listens. You know why God listens? Because these guys are equal partner, so to speak, with God. He took his life and he dedicated his life for the Jewish people, for the world, for people, to make the world a better place. He has nothing in there for himself. His whole life is dedicated for others. Then he's an equal partner with God. God listens to him. That every morning God comes out and he's looking for partners. And we are here to give the answer. Are we going to become partners? Or just bystanders, or maybe even employees that 5 o'clock we leave, we go home, we don't care. It's up to us. And when we are partners and we turn to God and we pray to God, God listens to us and he fulfills our prayers and our requests. And ultimately, he will give us the ultimate request that may God send us the Moshiach speedily nowadays.